Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, as the people can see, I'm on location. So we didn't have our show that we normally have every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we are back today. And, Jay, I did want us to get together and talk very quickly. Now, a video drop. This will be yesterday. We're actually recording this tonight. But, of course, more than likely, this video will come out tomorrow or today, being Tuesday. But Stephen Espinoza talked a little bit about the ongoing negotiations between Tim Tszyu and Terence Crawford. So they are already talking about the potential of a fight, Jay, this summer. And I think that's very interesting that Terence Crawford and Tim Tszyu are already negotiating the fight now. It's not necessarily interesting from the sense that fights are already pre-negotiated before a fight has concluded. We've seen this on multiple occasions, so that's not surprising. Yeah. But it is surprising to some extent that you're seeing a fight being negotiated during the training camp of another fight. That is surprising. So it could possibly suggest that Tim Tszyu could be taking Fundora lightly. Now, we did see Fundora get knocked out in his last fight against Brian Mendoza, and maybe Tim Tszyu is taking Fundora a little bit lightly because of some of the success we've seen Tim Tszyu have over the last, let's call it 18 months, Jay. I would suggest to Tim Tszyu that he does not take Sebastian Fundora lightly. Number one, Sebastian Fundora's style is a style that can give you trouble because it's a high work rate style, Jay. He doesn't necessarily use his reach to his full advantage as he should, but with that high work rate working inside, it could be a hellacious style for anybody to deal with. Now, we've seen Sebastian Fundora get put down in the past. Tim Tszyu does have decent power. I don't think he has one punch knockout power. But certainly, I think he has enough power to put Sebastian Fundora down, considering Sebastian Fundora has a fairly slight frame, if you will, Jay. But Sebastian Fundora is going to come to the ring to fight. He's already talking about bringing a somewhat different style in terms of just being smarter in the ring. By smarter, I'm assuming that he means that he's going to, use his attributes, his measurables in the ring to bring more success for himself and to put himself in a better position to actually win a fight. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that, his style has not lent itself to being successful in the past, Jay, because it has. I mean, he's been successful with that style. But, with a guy that's that tall, that rangy, you would think that he would try to, keep an opponent to the outside a lot, or keep an opponent outside a lot more using that jab and that range and just that ability. So, it'll be interesting to see how this fight plays out. But Tim Tszyu, he could get distracted, man. I mean, you never know. I think this is a hell of a fight. Again, not the name recognition in terms of like a Keith Thurman, but still a hell of a fight, Jay. So what are your thoughts on this particular fight? And more importantly, Tim Tszyu, is he looking past Sebastian Fundora?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it seems like he's looking past him already, negotiating this fight. Like this is already in the bag. I mean, it's 11, 12 day notice. You get a switch of a fighter. You go from a conventional orthodox fighter, older, got older legs. Hasn't been active, and things like that. Doesn't have a high work rate. To now you're fighting a 6'6" fighter that has a 10-inch reach advantage, damn near, and has a high work rate. Yeah, he's coming off a loss, but that's not something that you could just easily mimic. You weren't even studying for that style. Yeah, I will give him credit. I will say this. He was preparing for a lefty anyway when he was preparing for Erickson Lubin for what he said. He said he'd been preparing for Lubin for whatever reason that fight didn't fall through. So somewhat for a lefty, but you weren't preparing for a damn 6'6" fighter, with a 10-inch reach advantage over you. So that's something new. I know they got Mikael Fox in there and brought him into camp, who's a tall, rangy fighter, but again, he's not Fundora. Fundora, like you said, has a high work rate. He likes to fight on the inside. I always hated seeing him fight on the inside, giving up his advantages and his measurables, since that's the new word we have for the 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Measurable is the word. That's going to come up a lot quite often this year. So I mean, that's hard to change to. I'm not saying Fundora's some world beater, but he's a quality fighter. He didn't look good in his last fight, the way he got dropped. The overall fight, he was winning that fight against Mendoza. One thing about him, he keeps his head up too high. That's one of the things some of the coaches were talking about before. They like he needs to tuck his head down, put his chin down, keep the chin down, and fight at range. That's one thing he alluded to in one of the interviews he was talking about. He's like he's going to be fighting smarter. The only thing you can take from that fighting smarter, fighting at range. Use your measurables. You're 6'6". You got like a 80, 81, 82 inch reach. Tim Tszyu is like 70, 72, something like that. Keep him at the end of your stick. Put that jab out there. He could literally jab his way to a win in this fight against Tim Tszyu. Tim says he's not overlooking him, but if you're already making deals for the next fight, you kind of are. You kind of are. And this is not something Fundora's not an easy win for anybody, I don't think, as well. After he got dropped by Espinoza, he looked like he looked defeated. So we don't know how he's going to come back from a psychological standpoint. But this right here, this is a chance for him to get 2 belts in one fight. I think he's going to be taking this seriously. I think this is going to be perfect for him. He's used to people coming forward to him because that's all he always used to engage in his fights, even with Brian Mendoza and Erickson Lubin. So that's how they fought. But Tim, he can mess up your whole idea for the rest of this year. Take him seriously. I give Tim Tszyu credit for taking a fight like this on a 12-day notice. Totally different type of fighter, so I give him all the credit in the world, but I don't like the fact that he is out there that he's actually negotiating and talking about posturing for a fight with Bud just yet. This ain't easy. Saturday is going to be tough for him, I believe.
Yeah, I would have waited till after the fight. And this is just my personal opinion because I think I just don't like the idea of any fighter looking ahead during the training camp. I mean, we've seen so many instances where a fighter gets distracted or he's looking down the road to what might be, and all of a sudden someone comes in and upsets the apple cart, right? And now you got a fighter that's literally negotiating with a fighter during training camp. And stylistically, I think Tszyu matches up well with Fundora, so I don't think there's really going to be an issue there. But still, when you're looking past a fighter, you never know. And when I say match up well, I'm talking about matching up well in terms of how Fundora typically fights. It'll be interesting to see if Fundora comes to the ring and attempts to fight from range. If he does, that could make for an interesting fight. I would love to see Fundora come to the ring and try to fight from range. Use those measurables. Use what you have naturally in order to have an advantage. So that would be an interesting thing to see Fundora do. But Tim, I think to some extent he is overlooking Fundora just because he's negotiating between or during a training camp. I mean, that's just crazy to me. So we'll see what ends up happening. I'm excited to see the fight, and we'll see if we end up having an upset. And definitely excited to see the undercard. And we'll be back definitely on Friday to give our official predictions. Jay, is there anything else we need to share in this regards?
Yeah, so I mean, just as far as the measurables, Tim Tszyu on BoxRec. He's 5'8" and a half, 70 inch reach. Fundora is 6'6", 80 reach. Those are the measurables right there that people be talking about. So we'll see. But like you said, we're gonna do our prediction on Friday, and I'm looking forward to this fight. I think it's gonna be a good one.
I think it will be too. You guys let us know what you think in the comment section in regards to this fight. And do you believe it's Tim Tszyu? Is he overlooking Fundora? Is it possible that he's doing that, negotiating the fight in between training camp for Fundora by looking at Terence Crawford? Let us know. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and we are